Hello and welcome back everyone. We're catching this exciting game today. We're back, we're streaming some games, and here we have Sir Lose a lot here up in the northeast corner of the map playing as Hausa, and he is actually up against Make Japan Great Again, playing as, you guessed it, Japan. So it's gonna be interesting to see this match. Now these players are really high elo, and Sir Lose a lot is definitely a really good Hausa player, so it's gonna be really interesting to see how he deals with Japan. Japan really likes to boom, and they can really do a lot of different strategies, so it will be interesting to see what happens. Now we're back. I haven't actually been uploading videos the past like 2 weeks or so. I haven't really been playing Age of Empires 3 that much. I've been taking a bit of a break, you know, but sometimes it's just nice to take that break so you can get back into the game, get excited about playing it again, and not get stuck in the same like elo grind and everything. So now I'm back, I'm playing some games again, and I thought we would just go ahead and do some streams, and this channel isn't going anywhere, that's for sure. So Sir Lose a lot here picking up some food, which is gonna be quite nice to get that age up a bit earlier. Now, depending on what strategy he does here in the beginning, it might actually not matter because it's only 30 food. He would probably go for that 15 age, will age up anyway, but he could possibly go for a 14. Meanwhile, we see some shrines coming up here for Japan. So, actually building a shrine quite far forward. Does look like Sir Lose probably saw that actually. Okay, he actually doesn't, but you can kind of see the outline here, the way that these herds are standing, that there probably is one there. But he's instead gonna focus on this treasure right here. So this is quite a nice treasure, 120 XP. Now, preferably here you want to use the chaos ability right here, so you can get both the dogs also, or the wolf I should say, attacking the grizzly bears, because you can have like multiple treasures actually attacking each other, which is actually pretty important when it comes to the House Explorer. So he's gonna be really happy with that treasure, and that means that he's gonna be able to actually probably get his shipment in transition if he wants to. It of course depends on his deck. So let's take a look at the deck. Now this UI is bugging out again, so I guess I just have to fix this. I've noticed like if you change this a bit, then it just starts working again, and there we go. So he does actually have both House of Kingdom and Placo Code, so I wonder if we will see him actually go for any of these shipments. He's almost at a shipment right now, and he's gathering up that last bit of food. He actually switched over a few villagers to wood a bit prematurely even, interestingly enough. I wonder why he did that, but now we got the 800 food, and he's gonna age up here, and it's gonna be interesting to see what he picks. So he's actually going for the Berbers, okay. So the Berbers are quite greedy, and it can be pretty dangerous to go with the Berbers against Japan, because if Japan really wants to boom with the port consulate like we see here, then it's gonna be really hard to keep up with him even with the Berbers. But we'll see how that extra economy helps him. He's actually grabbing a TP, so he's actually like doubling down on the economy side, it seems, and he's gathering both gold and wood, so it seems like he's gonna want to drop down a university also. He is saving that shipment though, it seems, and that's probably just because he probably wants more influence now that he is going for the Berbers. So he might actually want to go Palace of Amina just to get that extra influence, to get some Berber units out. But we'll see what he does once he ages up. So a bit of idle time here is actually building a university here. Okay, that is really strange. This is really not something you see every match. And also very interesting building this university here, because imagine if the Japan player actually aged up with the samurai, he could just walk over with samurai and get these buildings for free. So really a really dangerous move to go for that university, very greedy, but we'll see if it pays off, and I think it's actually gonna pay off, because we can see here the Japan player is trying to get shrines out. He's probably gonna do more of an eco-focused build, so but we'll see what happens. Now he's aging up now, and there we go. He got the native embassy builder right here, so we'll see where he plops that down. I like to actually put it like next to the mine, so we can just get some villagers right on the mine, right from it. But he's gonna actually build it a bit further out, it seems. Okay, interesting. So he's gonna take some map control here to try to get control of this herd. like quite dangerous here, really going out on the map. He's really spreading his economy out, and it's gonna be interesting to see if it pays off. And I think he's just really confident in the play style of his opponent here, and he's taking advantage of that. So he's actually getting Hausa Kingdom now, it seems. So we actually did go for Hausa Kingdom, but he sent it really late actually. So I think he just missed that chip, and he's building that university. He's gonna get some really nice trickle here and building that trading post. Now, in this case, let's say he actually built a palace instead of this university. He would have actually gotten the same trickle of influence, but he would have had a much more defensive base. But I guess he's gonna want to put down a palace here anyway and get both. So we'll see how that pans out. Now Palace of Amini is coming in, so I bet we'll see this being placed here in the influence of this university. And right now he's actually looking really good in score. He just missed that batch, so he actually only got a single one out. It's really hard with the resources to get all the resources you need to constantly train when you're doing this kind of greedy build. So he's getting his Berbers out. He's really just doubling down on economy, to be honest. Meanwhile, we see the Japan player, just a super defensive base here. He got the Toshugo Shrine, gathering some coin, and he got a lot of these shrines actually. So yeah, he is really happy in his place here. Meanwhile, we actually see Hausa player here, Sir Lucelot. He's actually going for both Stagecoach and he was going for Black Code for a minute there, but yeah, he cancelled it to go for the wood. I think the wood is probably a better option at this point, only with 22 villagers. The Black Code just isn't that great. And he also got all the hunting improvements, so he got some really good food gather rate here, and especially on these Berber nomads, 1.25, and that's even without this granary boost, because these are just a bit too far out. So he's getting really a lot of resources here, and he's gonna want to opt for some Fulani, but he doesn't really have any that good wood value, so he can't really get this batch out, and he's gonna be in a bit of trouble now, because here we have some raiding ashes, and this is just the power of the ashes for raiding. Like the extra movement speed and the fact that you can just in 2 volleys kill a villager with only 4 ashes is, yeah, it's just insane. And now he has the wood coming in here, so I bet we're gonna see him produce a lot of Fulanis now. Probably wanna drop down a house and then just keep making Fulanis. So I'm even going for a second war camp, so he's gonna really start the production here of the Fulanis. Meanwhile, he got some raiders here. He's trying to scout the map, but at this time there's a bit too many ashes for these raiders to deal with, so he's gonna have to stay back a bit. And the Japanese player really is getting quite cocky now. He has the Bestieros and he has the Musketeers, so we actually got quite a nice composition here, and there's not a ton of Fulani here, so in this point of the game it actually does look like Japan has the better military and also the better map control here, with a lot of line of sight here with the map. He still has this untouched though with the university down here, which is quite interesting. But we see a fight almost breaking out now, and here's the problem: the cavalry is coming, the heavy cavalry, and he doesn't really have any anti-cav, it looks like. Okay, he has some anti-cav, but they're way back here, so he's actually gonna probably lose a few of these raiders. But this is really the power of the pro players, how they just manage to escape with the units every time. And you really saw that he went back with the heavy cavalry and tried to stop the snare, and it really worked out. He didn't lose a lot, and he just realized he couldn't take that fight, so he's just gonna stay back and he's gonna keep on making some Fulanis. And I think we might actually see a switch here in the military strength if this goes on for a bit longer. I think Hausa has the superior H2 units, especially if they go for the Fulani and Javelin composition, because, well, you got that a really good, basically skirm goon type of composition already, while the Japanese player is gonna go for more of a Musk and Hussar type strategy here. And going for the Musk Hussar is never gonna be as good as the skirm goon comp, but now he is having to pay the price for putting this native embassy so far out, and he's gonna actually lose a few villagers here to these cheeky raids. So yeah, I was the Japanese player just doing a really good job here, walking across the map and trying to find a thing. And what is this? We see Magadice. This is not every day you see these Magadice. That is very interesting. So I think he actually used his influence to train those, because he doesn't actually have a card for them. He hasn't even summoned the 700 influence, so he just trained them. And this can be a bit of a tough spot if you want units in H2 for your influence. There kind of isn't any other option than going for the Magadays, and they're quite expensive when you don't have the tech that makes them cost coins. So but in this case, I think it's really gonna help him just get that bit of extra military strength here that he needs, and he's actually looking really good in this spot. I think at this point Hausa actually has the superior composition here, because, well, while the military strength is probably quite similar, I would much rather have the bowman compared to having the mask in this composition. So very nice here by Sir Lose-A-Lot. We see the Japanese player also trying to pick off these Magadays, but these guys are really tanky. 260 HP and 36 attack for each 2 unit. Compare that to the Musketeer here, and it's just insanely strong. But they are really, really expensive, and that's really the main takeaway. But because he went for that extra, he went for that like double university, he really can afford to build them. Now he does have his TP line on wood, which is good, of course, because wood gathers really slowly, but at the same time I do prefer having the trade line on influence. Influence is so valuable, and I would argue that it's more valuable than the wood. But oh, now he's in a tough spot. The Japanese player H up, and he's gonna lose all of his jabs here, and that's really not what he wants, because there's still a lot of cavalry here. He just dived in to get those archers, and I don't think that was worth it. He got startled by the H up, I think, and he just went for it. But we see it, there's actually a seizable massive cavalry, but he does still have a lot of anti-cav left, fortunately. So he's gonna be able to take this trade pretty decently, actually. And we can see him behind this actually microing for that HP. He has 400 gold crate value while also having 400 gold. So he's gonna be able to go up any second now. And it looks like he just traded 1 crate of gold. And I think we're gonna see him trade the other one. And that's gonna mean he's gonna be able to get the HP. But the problem is, we'll see now if he actually managed to escape from this, and the risk is now that it's gonna be caught off guard. There's so much cavalry, and there's just too much cavalry now. He really needs to put this Magadai into melee mode and just try to attack the cavalry, but the problem is, even though they're heavy infantry, they don't actually have any multiplier against cavalry, so they aren't really that good against cavalry unless you have the specific upgrade card. So he's gonna escape with a bit of his army, but at this point is looking really good for the Japan player, and Hausa is really lagging behind now, and I think Sir Lose-A-Lot really needs to pull out a rabbit from his hat if he's gonna be able to survive this and win. But now we see him actually using those Magadai in melee, which is a great option, because the Magadai have insane attack, and they will actually deal with these quite well, just because of the fact that they have so high attack. He's also stacking quite a bit of influence, so when he actually does age up, it's gonna be interesting to see what he uses that on. If he just gets a bit more influence, he could actually go ahead and get some falconets, or maybe he actually want to go for the cannoneers. Now, he doesn't actually have the cannoneers, but he does have the Sudanese allies, which could be a good shout, actually, to deal with those Ashugaris, and he just needs some anti-cav together with those for it to make a great composition here. But and we see him actually getting a lot of javelins out, so maybe that could actually work. So he's aged up with Hausa, it seems, so we got the wood crates, and the problem now, however, is he's gonna lose this base right here, because he just doesn't have enough to defend it, and now he's gonna lose all of those villagers as well. So yeah, I think this is probably honestly GG to but it's still possible to win, but it's gonna be really uphill from now. He took a bad trade with that army, and now he's just losing so many villagers. So he's down to 23 villagers now. Meanwhile, the Japan player is on 43 villagers. That's just the power of Japan and those shipments. I bet he sent like the 4 villagers twice or something. Well, maybe he can't actually send this twice. Okay, interesting. But yeah, it's just really tough to keep up with the Japanese eco, and all of these shrines just constantly gathering resources, all of them half a coin per second. So yeah, he hasn't really, that's kind of the issue going for this Skirm Goon composition, because you really lack siege, and versus Japan, that is just really dangerous, because you can't let these shrines stay up too long. Meanwhile, we see the Japanese player actually going for the cavalry hit points. It seems very interesting go for the hit points than just getting 5 Naginatas. Surely 5 Naginatas is much better at this point. It doesn't have that many cavalry. Like 10% hit point, that's like, it's like getting just over 1 cavalry unit on that shipment. So, okay, it's actually getting a few more now, so maybe it's starting to be worth it, but yeah, I don't know. Meanwhile, we see him adding also some clubmen in here, and we see the Sudanese coming in here, but they have so short range, and they really just get wrecked here by the Ashugari, even though they supposedly countered Ashugaris with that. But yeah, it's just looking really good for the Japan player here. We see a town center coming up here with the builder Chua, so that's what he used the influence for probably. So he went quite greedy to get this town set out, and it's gonna pay the price and he's gonna lose it. But he's picking off some units here actually. He's taking a decent trade, and he still has actually a lot of anti-cav, while the Japanese player have a lot of cavalry. So right now the yeah, he got that going for him, and he's actually gonna take a pretty decent trade here in terms of resources. But the problem is just Japan just has this amazing economy behind it, so Japan would just be able to remass this, and yeah, that's the game. GG has been called, and yeah, it's a tough matchup. You really can't let Japan boom like this. It's really dangerous, and it really shows you how even in the pro games it's always the same thing. Like, you need to be aware of your opponent's save and what they're capable of. Like, if Japan goes for the port consulate here with the Trishugo Shrine, you really need to apply pressure early, get the raiders out, and it was looking quite good for Sir Lose-A-Lot there for a while. He was going very eco-heavy himself, but yeah, Hausa just can't keep up eco-wise. And let's look at the game, and let's see here. We have 25,000 resources for make Japan great again, and then only 22 for Sir Lose-A-Lot. So it's actually quite more close than you would think, but you could also see just the sheer scaling of the Japan save here, and they really don't get idle because they have those houses, and then they have like these cherry orchards. That means that they're just not getting any idle time at all. So yeah, Japan just have resources for days. They can just keep on doing this the whole game. Meanwhile, Hausa really needs to get out on the map. He needed this hunt right here, which he lost a lot of villagers getting. And meanwhile, this hunt right here is all denied. And this is the frustrating part against Japan, how they will just deny your hunts like that. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed that game, and I'll see you guys in the next game.